Giving you story after story, everything is true. Some things are kinda scary, so what you gon' do? Cause that's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Sometimes we spit scripture, line upon line, not discussing wickedness, but what is divine. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tales from the Sipp, episode 57. Yeah. Now, you see the title? My Awakening. Now, let me talk about it. So, now, this is a story that's talking about years and years ago. At the time, I was like 10 years old. Yeah. So at the time, this was a long time ago in the 80s. But let me get to it. Now, so back in the day, you know what I'm saying? I think about how on my first episode of Tales from the Sipp, when I was 4 years old, I was talking about my father's advice. Yeah, when he started telling me how we came from the continent of Africa on the slave ships. So you start there. Then that struck something in my mind, and I started, as I got a little older and older, I started wanting to learn things about, okay, now, so I know we come from Africa, and I know how we got here, but why we came here? I knew about slavery because I started reading the Bible. That's for another episode, but I got to talk about it a little bit. Now, because when I turned 7 years old, I was always curious. So I used to read the Bible a lot, didn't understand, but I used to, from a child, this how I know that the Most High was dealing with me as a child. He always dealt with me, you know, pointing me in the right direction. So I used to read the Bible. See, I didn't just go, like the normal person, or well, not normal. The average person go to the New Testament first. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I could be wrong, but I started at Genesis. So I'm reading along in there. Then, like I say, my uncle was a Sunday school teacher. You know what I'm saying? And, I always ask questions for him and stuff like that. And then one day, and I used to pray to the Most High. I knew we came from Africa, somewhere in Africa, but I used to pray to the Most High as a child to show me, where my people came from. And he did through scripture. So I got to reading and reading and reading and reading. And then, being I grew up in the Baptist church, I don't know about how y'all work, but when you sitting up here hearing all these stories, for some reason, it seemed like, we can relate to these things. Then you looking at movies, you look at all these old movies and how the preachers used to talk about the stuff. You like, man, I don't know why I can relate to these stories. You know what I'm saying? Which in the beginning, I thought those were Caucasian people in the Bible. This what, you know. But anyway, so I keep reading and reading. I ran across Deuteronomy finally, 28. And this the reason I made this, I made the song about it, you know, and I started thinking, and I came across, when it was talking about slavery and all that. I'm like, man, that seemed kind of funny. It seemed like that sound like us. But I was praying to the Most High and praying to the Most High, and He showed me that. And then I started looking around, and my daddy was steady telling me stuff. My uncle was steady telling me stuff. So, and then the Most High gave me, you know, giving me dreams and stuff. So I just kept, there's something sparked in me. Boom, the light came on. I'm like, wait a minute. Is this who I really am? Like, maybe maybe, when you young, you like, man, the devil trying to trick me into something, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever like that. But me at the time, I ain't have no just no. I think my heart was pure. I didn't have any crazy intentions or nothing. I just wanted to know who I am. So it started when I was 10 years old. Then I kept on, and then I started, back then you had to go to the library if you wanted to learn something. So I went to the library, reading stuff, different articles and stuff out of books. My uncle had a lot of books also. He had way more books than I got now. But then, I looking up different words and terms in the encyclopedia and trying to, studying. I studied the dictionary, to see what certain words meant. And then throughout all my studies, I get up to the age of when I became a teenager. And then, see, back then, you didn't have the internet, AOL, you're gonna making all that noise and stuff. That's all you had. Most people didn't have, computers at home. So I didn't really look anything up on the internet. It was always through books. We didn't have any camps. You had one, assembly around here. And I never went to it, but I knew a couple people from there. It was called House of Israel, right over there on it was over there right off of Lynch Street. And like Lynch and Terry Road, something like that. I never went over there, but I knew a couple people that went there, that had been there. So moving right along, I had practically put in my mind, we got to be this is who we got to be. Kept studying, kept reading, kept studying. Later on, when I was like 19 years old, I was like 19 years old. So this is like late 90s, you know what I'm saying? So I met through the girl I was talking to. I met her uncle and a couple more people. Daddy too. He was real sharp. He's still real sharp. I ain't seen him in a long time, but he used to go to that same place, House of Israel. He went there, Not saying he been there, he was a member that's there all the time, but me and him you sit around and talk about the scripture all the time. I used to talk about the scripture with her dad all the time. I'm like, man, we the Israelites, man. I just got that feeling. He like, yeah, we is. And we get to talking, we talking. So around the age of 19, it really began to be solidified with me. Now, this was the 90s now. And then, the funny part about it, at the time, I was selling drugs. Ain't that crazy? But the Most High still was dealing with me. Like I said, with no camps, with no assembly I went to. I know some people think everybody just woke up in 2019, 18, 17, whatever it was, and they started, believing stuff. No, a lot of us, I would say, a lot of us that the Most High woke up into the truth, what people say the truth is today. I mean, he started dealing with us a long time ago. Because of simple fact, now, I didn't ever go to any assemblies. I never dealt with me being in a camp or nothing like that. But I can tell you what I did do. Do you remember a dude named Yahweh Ben Yahweh? Now, back in the day, he used to have a TV show. My phone trying to ring. But anyway, he used to have a TV show, and I used to watch it. I used to watch it all the time. Yahweh Ben Yahweh, down there in Florida. I didn't believe everything that they taught, because I'm one, you can't just tell something to. I gotta really, it got to line up with scripture. You know what I'm saying? And I used to watch him, but I didn't believe everything they taught. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I end up, later on, I started walking in it. That's for another story too. But yeah, that was my conversion. When I actually started believing that I was one of the children of Israel, and it was solidified. Now it was solidified then. I started kind of believing when I was a child. But yeah, and that's was my awakening. Yes, sir. Tales from the Sipp, episode 57, my awakening. Be on the lookout for Tales from the Sipp 58. Yay, moving right along. But until next time, peace out. Yes, sir.
That's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Sometimes your boy may go way back in the day, talk about experiences and the games that he played. And that's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Hey.